Now on CoastTV News.
Free speech debate. Ocean View takes another look at its controversial protest ordinance, but it's still on the books for now. Why neighbors say they'll keep pushing back.
The storms have gone out of the way, but the water and the floods still in the way.
And later, a rental rift. The pause on new short-term rentals in Ocean City is not ending anytime soon. Why town leaders want more time and why critics say enough is enough.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
The push to repeal a new protesting rule postponed in Ocean View. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Our top story tonight is out of Ocean View. Viewers might remember we have been reporting on an ordinance that was recently passed in town regulating public protests. The ordinance sets some requirements like having prior approval for a protest, also what time they can happen. And many people in town, as you just saw, have been really taking issue with those regulations. Tonight, the Ocean View Town Council reviewed the ordinance, but as Coast TV photojournalist Matt Hipsman shows us, the rules are still in effect after tonight's meeting.
I support the idea of free speech, and the ordinance that has been proposed is a restriction on free speech.
Let us have freedom of speech and freedom of assembly.
How did we get here? Why was this adopted in July? Did they get somebody to come in to ask for a big permit? I've been going to protests since March up in Rehoboth, and I checked with some of the people there and the one in Bethany. Nobody else gets a permit.
There was some concern that the ordinance impinged on their right for free speech. They mentioned a number of different items. I don't really want to get into those just yet. I don't have an opinion. We don't have an opinion yet.
Since every other location surrounding Ocean View has no ordinance of this kind, why in Ocean View? Why at this time?
As that lady who's 80 years old got up today and said, just get rid of it. Why are you even doing this? This is our First Amendment right.
And so town officials tell us they plan to review the ordinance again in November, and they could vote in December on whether to repeal it. Town officials have previously said the ordinance was enacted to promote the, quote, general health, safety, and welfare of the community. Now an update on all the flooding we've been seeing following a nor'easter this weekend. Multiple roads were still closed in the Oak Orchard area today. Roads still flooded out there, as you can see. People in the area say they are used to flooding, but some people say this is the worst they've seen it.
It's interesting watching the trucks come through, and a car sits up there and watches the truck and says, oh, I can make it. And we had to push a girl out. Yeah, her little car, I don't know what it did, but it didn't run.
Some good news, though. People in town tell us they've been working to get old storm drains replaced for years, and they say it's finally happening this month. Locals say new storm drains and check valves should really help major flooding in the community. Conditions were also pretty rough in Fenwick today. High flood water making it difficult for people to travel. There were some warning signs posted for drivers. And the former mayor of Fenwick Island said flooding like this seems to be happening more often.
Nor'easters stay longer, which creates more and more water backup, which creates more and more problems.
And on Bowers Beach, a destructive path left behind. Powerful tides ripping away sand from the dunes. Also trees pulled straight out of the ground and left fence posts hanging on by a thread there. Beachfront homeowners are now asking the state to step up. They're hoping DNREC can replenish what Mother Nature took away, or maybe come up with a permanent solution to keep this from happening in the future. And we're going to go to our Coast TV poll now because we want to know, how did the storm affect you? Let's take a look at the results here. 35% say it was a minor inconvenience, 7% say a major disruption, 52% say no impact, that's good, 6% loved the rain. And you can still vote and let us know what you think on this. Just head over to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Now we're looking live into Lewis, and we're going to turn it over to the Weather Center, where our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams is standing by with a check on the forecast. Good evening, Paul.
So right now we take a look at Ocean City, and we have the waves still staying very active even at this late night hour. And yeah, the nor'easter is falling apart and is moving on out of the way, but it still left some leftovers on the plate, so to speak. It is in the form of scattered cloud cover that's staying a little bit on the thick side, but it's still going to be breezy for late tonight. So that's part of what was left over, but it should be all gone by tomorrow. With the sunshine coming up, we're looking for midweek sunshine and tranquil conditions to take over. Still going to be a little chilly and a bit on the breezy side. I mean, we still have the active concern for winds off of the coast with a small craft advisory in effect for all the way until like Thursday. So we're looking at 25-mile-per-hour winds, regardless of the fact that an active nor'easter is no longer directly affecting us. But we also have the coastal flood advisory that will stay in effect until Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, so that most of the water should subside, except for areas near Ocean View and south of that. Still a little touch and go with some of those roads there. Christina?
Paul, thank you. Well, today was the final day of paid parking in Lewis and the downtown area, actually one of the last places in our area to shut off meters, as many other coastal communities did that in September. Now, according to the city of Lewis, after today, it will no longer cost $150 to park downtown. Beach meters have been shut off since September 30th. In Ocean City, paid parking runs until Halloween. On your screen now is the 302 local in Rehoboth Beach. That's where Delaware State Police say 60-year-old Craig Beckett broke into the restaurant's outdoor fridge twice. Police say Beckett stole food and alcohol, including nearly $2,000 worth during one of the break-ins. Troopers say he was caught the second time riding a bike with a backpack full of stolen food. Well, final recommendations were read out loud and analyzed for Sussex County Council today. Today, the council reviewed all 20 recommendations to reform land use in Sussex County. Staffers said some of the ideas were achievable, like forest preservation, but some of the bigger items like comprehensive rezoning were described as quite difficult. Another frustration voiced by council and staff is that while the county handles land use, the state handles the roads. So council members said a broad approach to fix growth is really out of their control.
One of the biggest challenges we have are road capacities, and the pace of development is outstripping our road capacities in many cases. And yet the county has no ability to build roads. We rely on the state and DelDOT to do that, and so coordinating all those things and trying to minimize the inconvenience of people as growth continues, and probably growth will continue for the next several years at least.
And it is important to note today was the first time for council to digest these recommendations and to look forward. Concrete changes will come later in the form of ordinances if council chooses to take action. Now, on the state level, the next meeting for Delaware's Special Committee on Property Tax Reassessments has been canceled. It was planned for next Monday, but the cancellation is due to ongoing litigation related to a bill that allowed Newcastle County school districts to reset tax rates. The committee's next hearing is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, November 4th at 9:30 a.m. at Legislative Hall there in Dover, although lawmakers say it is subject to change pending the outcome of that ongoing litigation. A trial date has been set in the tragic Potomac plane crash. Parties in the wrongful death lawsuit over the American Airlines and Army Black Hawk collision over the Potomac River back in January, they met for the first time in D.C. today. The judge made clear that the case would move swiftly out of respect for the victims. He set a trial date for April 12th, 2027. The $250 million wrongful death lawsuit was filed last month. The January 29th mid-air crash killed all 67 people aboard both aircrafts. And the lawsuit comes as the NTSB is expected to release their final report on the crash in January. A Pennsylvania man has pleaded guilty to firebombing the Pennsylvania governor's mansion in April. The arson attack happened while Governor Josh Shapiro, his family, and guests were sleeping, a few hours after they celebrated the Jewish holiday of Passover. Sherelle Hubbard shows us new security footage and has more on the charges that the Pennsylvania man is facing.
Newly released security video shows a man setting fire to the Pennsylvania governor's mansion while Governor Josh Shapiro, his family, and overnight guests, including children and 2 state troopers, slept.
setting somebody's house on fire, the house where they are asleep, with where there's 20 people asleep in that house, that's a substantial step.
Fortunately, no one was hurt in the attack. Prosecutors say 38-year-old Cody Balmer scaled an iron security fence in the middle of the night and used a sledgehammer to get through a window while throwing beer bottles filled with gasoline to set the house on fire. Balmer pleaded guilty Tuesday to a slew of charges, including arson, terrorism, and attempted murder.
Just as a dad, the notion that doing the job that I love so much, right, serving my fellow Pennsylvanians, that would put my kids' lives at risk, that would put my wife's life at risk, let alone my own, that's a hard thing to work through.
Under the plea deal, Balmer was sentenced to 25 to 50 years in prison, far less than he could have faced if the case had gone to trial.
Justice was served, and there was real accountability here. My family and I support the plea that was worked out with the district attorney.
Balmer declined to address the judge about the crime, but prosecutors say Balmer told investigators he was concerned about the war in Gaza. I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
And we still have more news to get into this evening. Coming up, a pedestrian safety push in Dover, what DelDOT is doing to raise awareness and increase safety. But first, Ocean City police are asking you to smoke pot, and it's not a trap. That story up next. And coming up, Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams is in the CoastTV First Alert Weather Center. He has your full forecast after the break.
Jesus. Well, let's take a look at what's happening with our live radar right now. And what we're seeing is that we have a coastal flood advisory. That's our primary concern at this particular juncture, because generally speaking, we're going to continue to have the waves that are rushing upon the shore pretty steadily. We're at 63 degrees, actually. We'll drop back to 60 with partly to mostly cloudy skies. Now, the storyline is this. Late tonight, we're looking for it to stay very breezy with the clouds sticking around. And then we're looking for, by midweek, it's going to be delightful and with very breezy for us. And we're looking for the kind of relief from this stormy weather that we've been pining for quite some time, to be quite honest about it. Now, the question now is just how much more of this do we have to really endure? Well, first of all, let's go ahead and just kind of tee it up for you. We are indeed concerned about the small craft advisory that's staying in effect for us in Ocean City, West Ocean City, and connected areas. And that's going to now be extended to Thursday. And the same holds true for us, actually, for the coast for us along Sussex, because we're bracing for 25-mile-per-hour winds. And we may even get a little bit stronger than that occasionally. But overall, we're quiet. I mean, really quiet. We keep a close eye on this cold front. That's going to be a game changer when it finally arrives. But it's going to take it a day or two to get there so we can kind of catch our breath from the nor'easter. Today, we received, closing in beyond a third of an inch of rain officially in Ocean City, but when we track it all the way back to Sunday, we've had over 2 inches of rain in some areas. So we're still expecting the chance of minor flooding to occur along the coast, particularly south of Ocean View in those areas. But our future waves indicating we're going to be in this green area of Ocean View here. Now, the farther south you go, the higher the waves are expected to be. So we're looking at a possibility of 8. All right, that's the green here. That's the legend that kind of shows you how to utilize and read what's going on with this map. But notice how the darker green begins to come into play because the water is going down. So let's take a look at the tidal flood levels. By the time we get to tomorrow morning, we'll have no concerns in Lewis. We'll have no concerns in Ocean City by tomorrow morning. And the same holds true for us in Chincoteague. So everybody's flood levels is going back to where they should be. The winds are coming out of the north, but the winds, when we take a look at our forecasted winds, remember how I said they're going to be problematic? Look at this. By Thursday, midnight, we're looking at 29, 26-mile-per-hour winds pouring directly out of the north, and that's when that cold front will push through. And then by lunchtime Thursday, that cold front's going to have a big impact. You see, Thursday, we'll start off in the 40s, possibly, don't tell anybody, possibly 30s, upper 30s. Yeah, I knew Christina was going to go woo behind that one anyway, but it's 61 degrees actually for Thursday. That's why I had to be careful in saying that she'd have fell out of a chair. So anyways, take a look at our rain chances. They stay tapped down until we get to Monday. And Monday, we have a healthy slice of rain that's going to push through along with another cold front. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. You know what? Since I already made Christina scared, let me go ahead and just say it for real. Christina, right here, this 41 might end up being a 39.
Oh. I'm just going to choose to ignore that. Thank you, Paul. Well, get this. Ocean City police are looking for people to smoke pot. And no, it's not a trap. It's all part of a cannabis green lab, basically a training exercise for law enforcement. The goal is to help officers spot signs of cannabis impairment during traffic stops and DUI investigations. It's happening Sunday, October 26th from noon to 4 p.m. and volunteers must be 21 or older. They also must bring their own cannabis. They're not going to provide it. About 40 student officers will be watching and learning, and lunch is included. If you want to take part, you have to sign up by October 22nd. You can find out how to do that over on CoastTV.com. Also in Ocean City, the town council voted today to extend the pause on new short-term rentals until January 2027. This is for some homes and mobile homes in the town. The mayor says the move could be changed if a viable plan emerges. The council plans to discuss length of stay in a future meeting, but those against the moratorium were not happy.
Take the rights from 3,800 property owners. Most of these property owners, over 90%, have never had a complaint. So why are we stealing rights from people that aren't causing problems?
And this all comes after the town held a referendum earlier this year with voters rejecting permanent restrictions on short-term rentals. In Dover today, DelDOT kicked off a pedestrian safety awareness event as October does mark Pedestrian Safety Month. Team members gathering there in Dover at the Kenton Road project, one of many ongoing road improvement projects in Delaware aimed at making streets safer for both drivers and pedestrians. DelDOT says the state averages about 30 pedestrian deaths every year, with nearly one crash a day.
Safety is proactive, and so when you look at it in that realm, pedestrian safety awareness is what that's all about. Trying to make sure that the pedestrian is taking care of themselves, the driver is taking care of themselves, and then each other are working together so that everybody can arrive home safely.
And officials say events like today are crucial to raising awareness and improving safety and access for pedestrians across the state. Coming up next, social strain, how social media and algorithms are influencing young men and what can help them cope.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Well, it looks like Coast Guard members will get paid despite the government shutdown. While the Coast Guard is a branch of the armed services, it is part of the Department of Homeland Security. Secretary Kristi Noem said on social media that her agency has worked out what she called an innovative solution to ensure the Coast Guard gets paid. The Coast Guard confirmed its members would receive a paycheck between October 15th and 17th. Military members were set to miss their first paycheck October 15th. Instagram is further cracking down on what millions of young people can see on the platform, aligning its teen account's safety settings with the guidelines for PG-13 movies. And the move comes on the heels of a recent study by Common Sense Media that looks closely at how social media, gaming, and influencers shape how adolescent males and boys see themselves and others. Ivan Rodriguez reports on what young boys are really seeing on social media and what parents can do to help their children navigate it.
From social media to gaming, young men online face a digital life that provides both connections and challenges, and it's having a significant impact on how they see themselves and others, according to a new Common Sense Media survey.
This is shaping young boys, young men's image here across the country. And the images are everything from fighting to body image to being tough to making money.
CEO and founder of Common Sense Media, James Steyer, says in most cases, young boys aren't searching for these posts. 68% of them say the content automatically shows up on their feeds.
It's actually just being sent to them directly by the big social media platforms in order to make money. We have a youth mental health crisis in this country, but also a crisis among boys and young men.
91% of boys see messages about body image or appearance, like dressing a certain way and having clear skin, according to the study. Those with high exposure to such messages are more than 4 times as likely to say social media makes them think they should change their appearance. 69% also regularly see content promoting gender roles in problematic ways, such as posts suggesting girls prefer to date a particular kind of guy or use their looks to achieve their goals.
I think it's a very powerful public education message to the boys themselves and to kids in general, but also to their parents and educators. Platforms have been getting away with some really offensive and inappropriate algorithmic content for years. It's about time they were held accountable, period.
Coming up in sports, we preview some Thursday night lights when undefeated Y-High makes the trip to play Kent Island live on the Delmarva Sports Network. And coming up in tonight's Health Minute, a brave conversation, one mother's journey of telling her kids about cancer and expert advice for families in a similar situation. An estimated 2 million Americans are projected to be diagnosed with cancer this year alone. And when the patient has children, it can be scary navigating what to say. In tonight's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on how to talk to kids about a cancer diagnosis.
At 39 years old, Ann Miller was nursing her youngest child when she felt a lump in her left breast.
Breast cancer was not even on my radar.
A mammogram and biopsy confirmed the disease, but Miller says the hardest thing she ever had to do was tell her children, ages 1, 6, and 8, that their mom was sick.
We did use the word cancer. We told them that I would need to take some very powerful medicine to make mommy feel better, and that a side effect of that medicine would be it would make me pretty sick.
The American Cancer Society says it's important for parents or loved ones to be open and honest with children about a cancer diagnosis.
Children oftentimes are more observant than we may give them credit for.
Dr. Kamal Arif says how you approach the topic will vary based on the age of the child, but he says to use words they'll understand and cover the basics: what type of cancer, where the cancer is in the body, what will happen during treatment, how that treatment may change the way the person looks or feels, and how their lives are expected to be changed by the cancer and the treatment. Since it's often hard to know what the future holds with cancer, Kamal says to focus on the journey that will happen over time.
Not giving certainty when it doesn't exist and asking for more questions and inquiry is oftentimes a good practice.
Miller says her children went through a range of different emotions, but in the end, it made them all appreciate each moment.
It's weird to say, but I'm somewhat grateful for this experience. There are so many happy memories that I've had with my children that I may not have otherwise had.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In sports, Simone Biles, the most decorated U.S. women's gymnast of all time, is not ruling out competing in the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. It would be her 4th Olympic Games, and during a recent event in Argentina, Biles said she'll be in LA in some way, but she doesn't know yet if she'll be competing or just watching. And when the 2028 Olympics open, Biles will be 31 years old. As a member of the 2024 U.S. gymnastics team, she became the oldest member of the Olympic squad since 1952.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
In Salisbury, the high school football world has run through Wycomico. The Tribe are undefeated at 6-0. But Y-High has a tall task ahead this Thursday up in the Chesapeake Bay. Kent Island plays host to Wycomico, and we'll have all the coverage.
This is already the 4th time this fall Y-High is featured on a DSN Game of the Night. They went to Decatur and won 23-14. They went to Cambridge, South Dorchester, which you're watching right now, and won by 20. And in a crosstown battle with Parkside, the Tribe shut out the Rams 35-0. Last week against North Carolina, a 50 spot for head coach Matt McMurdo in Wycomico. One of his players dives into why this team is bought in under their 3rd-year bench boss.
Every single day, we trust him. Every single word he says, we know, whatever Coach Romerto says, we're going to do it. We know, whatever he says is the truth. He's going to get us there. He doesn't want anything but the best for every single one of us. So we just know, we have to play up to that standard that he sets for us. You know what I'm saying?
Kickoff Thursday between Y-High and Kent Island is at 6. Don't miss it live on DSN with our own Tyler Aiken and Darren Wallace on the call. That'll do it for sports. Have a great night.
Well, Halloween is right around the corner, and according to a new recent survey, Americans are planning to spend about $4.3 billion on costumes this year. We've also got the top costumes that kids and adults are going for. Looks like Spider-Man is going to be the popular choice for children. Also, princess, witch, and ghost costumes are the next popular. And the most favored costumes for adults this Halloween are expected to be also a witch, vampire, and pirate.
I'm going as the weatherman. Okay, anyway. All right, so in Salisbury, 61 degrees actually, and we're going to drop down to 58 by 3 o'clock in the morning. We do have a small craft advisory still active, so we're bracing for 25-mile-per-hour winds along the coast, and we still have the coastal flood advisory that's in effect for our area. Our umbrella giveaway winner is Robert Turner of Ocean View. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line. The forecast is just a call away. And the number to call is 443-880-9100, sponsored by the law offices of Brockstead, Mendalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. And we are expecting for it to get up to 71 degrees, but then, Christina, we're going to drop down to near 40 degrees or slightly below Friday morning. So go ahead, grab your coat.
All right, I don't like you today after that, but thank you. And thanks to you for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 tonight. You can always find more news, more local weather. You just got to download that Coast TV weather app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.